Well, a big part of how I managed to be so successful with my involvement in the ethnic Karsheriskian community is just because I just, by the grace of God, have been in the right place in the right time. I was in Ohio at the right time. I was in coastal Virginia at the right time. I went to the Carolina Sandhills, and when I went there, I was doing a good time. And now I travel over to Mesoravand. Sometimes I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. Sometimes I'm in the right place at the right time. I went to live in Newport News, Virginia for a while, and I talked to some of the local ethnic Karsheriskian youth leaders based there. And I was one of the main couple of people who basically motivated them to keep doing what they were doing, documenting what they were documenting. And they taught me a whole lot of things I didn't know. But when I was living in Newport News, Virginia, I had some experiences good and some experiences bad with the high school that I graduated from and attended there. I went there for several years. And I spent sometimes at the school in person, and sometimes as a student of the school, I was doing this school online for Zoom classes, communicating with teachers there. And this was pretty convenient as it allowed me to move for just like a few days. It's not where I wasn't a resident of the city. I didn't attend a school when I didn't live in a district to do anything I'm not supposed to. But I mean, I moved, not legally, but not on paper. But in reality, I was traveling a lot and was just coming back to Newport News every now and then. But that's not why I attended online. I was just able to do that because I had to attend online. And it wasn't because of COVID. A lot of things happened to me that I feel were very unfair, and I'm going to talk about them now. In 2022, I arrived in Newport News, Virginia. I got there right around New Year's Eve, on January 1st or 2nd. For maybe as much as 2 or 3 days, we were just unloading the U-Haul and unpacking everything. Then we were, going box by box, taking them off the stack, looking what's in them and finding out what rooms they're going in, and choosing rooms and unpacking everything, getting settled in. And then I started exploring around my block while my family tried to enroll me in a high school in the area. And it ended up being Woodside High School. Now here's the weird thing. I didn't get into Woodside High School until early or maybe mid-February. I don't think it was late February, it was either early or mid. But in February, keep in mind I got there at the beginning of January, and instantly they start trying to get me enrolled in schools. And I don't know about that process and how it works, at least not right now. I got kind of tired and got a lot on my mind. But it's a quick process. Essentially, a month after Woodside High School was contacted, for some reason it took that long for me to be able to attend that school in person. And I don't know why or what's up with that. I don't know if that's normal or not. My family made it to be a pretty big deal that they couldn't get me into a school, they were saying. And I was like, what's up with this crap? Now, I must have been there for a week, but during a part of my time there was the weekend. I had only attended school for around, I think, 2 or 3 school days. And then I had to start going online. You see, it was one of my first couple days attending the school in person, and it was a Monday morning, or maybe it wasn't a Monday morning, but it was early in the morning, and I was in my homeroom teacher's class, the first teacher I go to. We go to different classes of different teachers throughout the day. And when I went, did I just say throughout instead of throughout? Man, these people even tried to erase my accent. I'm just kidding. But they did do some things that are kind of wrong to me. So throughout the day, I would go to different classes. This day, I went to my homeroom class, and I was happy because I found it without help for the first time. I'd only attended in person a couple days, and plus there had been a weekend, so I was still getting into the routine, you know. I think it was like 5 days into school, and my third day attending in person. And I remembered seeing these things at the dollar store called bath bombs that people put in the bath. And I didn't know much about what those were or how they worked. So I looked up some things on my computer about what are bath bombs and how to make bath bombs. And then the security guards, multiple, took me to an office with multiple people. They started putting on gloves. And I'm thinking, oh shoot, these people are going to touch me or pat me down. And I'm not comfortable with that. I ain't finna let them do that. They have no right. I didn't do nothing. You know? But thankfully, they weren't trying to touch me. They went through my backpack. I was like, y'all are just extra. Why y'all got gloves? There's not a freaking bomb in my backpack. I looked up bath bombs. So these people went through my bag, and of course, big surprise, they didn't find any bombs in the Muslim teenager's backpack. So what happened after that? Well, alhamdulillah, I was okay. But they decided to call my family. So my relative who I lived with at the time came to pick me up, and she was really mad at me. She was upset, saying, I'm getting a call from the school saying you're making bomb threats. Why would you do this? It's not like you. You don't do stuff like this. What's wrong with you? You ain't helping the stereotypes. And I told her what happened, and I showed her what happened. And then she just couldn't say anything. I was like, well, they won't let you go back. And that was just that. After either like maybe 7 to 9 months or a year, it was a little over a year. After a little over a year, they let me go back in person. During that time when they wouldn't let me go back, I was still a student of Woodside High School, but I had to do my work online on Zoom classes. And that wouldn't be the last time that I had to do that, for reasons that aren't my fault that I feel is unfair. I returned to Woodside High School in person, and I had a lot of incidents there. Let me just say, most of the staff there are wonderful people. There's some teachers who are probably going to find this video and see this who know me, and I really appreciate a lot of the teachers there. I'm not saying everyone who works at Woodside is bad. I'm not saying the whole school is a bad institution. There's just some bad apples who, at least at that time, worked at Woodside High School. And some of the people I won't name don't even work there anymore that used to have problems with me. I had some wonderful teachers who believed in me, who pushed me harder than I thought I could be pushed to get me to get amazing results. And they're the reason I graduated on time after everything Woodside did to me. And yeah, let's get back to that. So, when I was attending school in person, I had some other incidents with not always having the best getting along with every staff member there. I won't go for all the details, because I don't even remember them all. It's not even that big of a deal, just small things. One thing that really peed me off that I remember to this day was the time when I went to use the restroom and teachers were suspicious of me, whatever that means. Obviously, any of y'all who know me and aren't new to hearing from me know that I don't do drugs or alcohol because of my religious belief. I don't get into fights. I never did that before. I never even claimed I would. There's not really any reason teachers should be suspicious of me. And it wasn't because of that bath bomb thing, you know, because that had been a long time ago and I'd been going there and had no problems. They weren't up my rear end all the time. I went from class to class. I did what I was supposed to, and the teachers trusted me. They weren't like watching me nonstop like a hawk more than any other students. The way they watched me was how they're supposed to. Not obsessive, not following me around personally. Just kind of watching everyone, including me. Just a normal way, you know what I mean? But for some reason, one day, a teacher or really a security guard, one of the staff members. I call all the adults who work at the school teachers sometime. It's just because of the way I speak English and the dialect me and my friends speak that doesn't really have a name. It's like a unique dialect or accent of American English. And you can probably hear it, and you think I'm mixing Southern, Midwestern, and Ebonics and other accents and stuff. But it's some kind of fusion thing. But that's off topic, right? So this security guard, when I go into the bathroom, I always go into the bathroom alone because I'm not used to the public bathrooms we have here in my country, the USA, where the stalls have cracks and you can like look in and see people. Not that you should, not that I would, but that's something that's possible, and I don't like that. People can look underneath the doors or over the doors. They can hear you going to the restroom. They're not playing music or any sound of a waterfall. When I'm at my home, we have fans in the bathroom. Not like a ceiling fan, but like there's a light switch. You turn it on, it goes makes a loud noise. I turn that on whenever I use the restroom. And then when I leave, I turn it off again. I don't like the idea of people being able to hear or see me use the restroom. I've always been conservative and really modest, or prudish is what people call it, with things like that. You don't see me wearing what people would call skimpy clothing or not dress much. You'll never see me without a shirt on or anything, right? I'm just like that. It's part of my culture and my religious beliefs, especially my religion too. There's some Karcherskian people out there who are the complete opposite of me. There's some guys who work for Only Freaks in my family. I won't name them. I'm not here to shame them. I personally don't like it, and that's just my opinion, and it is what it is. That's off topic anyhow. But me, myself, I am really prudish, people. They tell me it's called prudish, I guess it means. I don't want people to see me not dressed much. I don't want people to hear or see me using the restroom. Just the thought of that makes me extremely uncomfortable. And I would probably not have a panic attack maybe, but I just don't want people to hear or see me use the restroom. So when I go to the restroom, I like ask during the middle of class, or I go during lunch, but I sneak out the lunchroom and I go to one of the bathrooms outside the lunchroom. I know that sounds bad and maybe I shouldn't do that, but I never got in trouble for that or anything. And eventually all the teachers found out I was doing it, but I let them know why. And maybe because of my ADHD and Asperger's and stuff, they just kind of thought, he's just a weird kid with some special needs. We'll just let him go do his thing. He's not hurting anyone. I'm not going to name any teachers. I don't want them to get fired. I think it's the right thing to do because the other alternative is me holding it in too long until I get like a bladder infection or something. So, anyways, one day I was using the restroom and a security guard thought I was suspicious, and I don't remember why. Maybe it was because for once someone who wasn't familiar with me and my habits thought, why is this kid leaving the lunchroom to use the restroom? So who knows, they could have had completely plausible suspicions of me, but I wasn't doing anything wrong, and I don't think there's any reason they should be suspicious of me. There's kids out there vaping in the bathrooms and stuff. I don't do that. Now, when I went in the restroom, I went in there because no one was in there. I went in and looked, and there was no one in there, so I went to use it. Then I hear keys jingling. The students don't carry keys. Now, our school had restroom for staff and for students. Staff generally do not go to the restroom that us students would be in. So I know there's a staff coming in the bathroom after me. There's absolutely no one in there. And the hallways were empty. I think the hallway I went in was the hallway that it was lunchtime for that hallway. So all the teachers were in their rooms eating lunch, or in the cafeteria, and all the students were in the cafeteria or at the library eating lunch, a few do, or in the courtyard, right? So there shouldn't be anyone, let alone staff, in this bathroom. And I'm not paranoid, I just know, if you went to school as long as I did at that school, you'd understand what I mean. What I'm saying, just because of the circumstances, it's undeniable. I just knew this guy followed me into the restroom. The only reason he was there was because I was there. He was following me into there. And I think this is just I don't really think they're a bad person. They were just suspicious of me. But at the time, I had a different mindset and I was younger and didn't realize it's probably just a security guard trying to do their job. They don't really know me. And the issue was just the cultural differences there. I was like, why are you following me into the restroom? And I forget what he said, don't remember his exact words. But he was basically asking me what I was doing in there and asking me to leave or like come out or go over to him and talk to him, go see him, come out the stall. And I was in the middle of trying to use the restroom. He just, that made me really uncomfortable and really bothered me. So I told him, like, I'm just using the restroom. Look, I can come out and talk to you, but, like, please leave. And I didn't know at the time, but now I understand. That probably made things worse if he was suspicious of me, right? And in his mind, he probably had some reason why he thought I shouldn't be there, right? So it's not really like he's a bad person or anything. But I told him I was trying to use the restroom, and I asked him to please leave or leave me alone. And he wouldn't. He walked up to the stall and starts knocking on the stall, and he's right by it. I already explained about the cracks and the gaps. So this made me really uncomfortable, and I let him know that he was making me really uncomfortable, and I felt like my privacy was violated. I was telling him, just go wait outside the restroom. There's only one way in or out. I'm not going to sneak out past you. Just wait outside for me to finish using the restroom and wash my hands, and then I'll come talk to you. But he kept knocking on the stall. So at the time, in my mind, at least, I thought that I was being wronged. He was basically harassing me, is how I saw it, through my own lens and my own perspective back then. So I got mad, and I came out and I said, why are you following me into the restroom? Why are you following minors into the restroom and listening to them using the restroom? I told you what I was doing, that I was using the restroom, that you were making me uncomfortable and to leave me alone. And I told him this is harassment. And he basically started chasing me, although I wasn't running away. Like, when I was just standing talking to him, he started, like, running up to me when he was a few feet away. I wasn't running, I didn't turn around or anything. I was standing there still talking to him. Admittedly, I was probably berating him, basically telling him, like, I think this is really weird. Why are you following kids in the restroom, dude? That's weird. I was basically saying that, berating him. That's when he basically rushed at me. And then I turned and ran because there's a grown security guard running at me. Is he gonna tackle me? What's he finna do? I don't know. This guy just followed me into the restroom, and at that time in my mind, I already thought he was being a creep. So I was scared. I couldn't really help it. He just scared me and triggered my fight or flight response. Maybe I should have gotten in trouble for running away, but that's not why I got in trouble. I got in trouble because I called him a creep. I ran away and he chased me. He radioed other guards and they calmed me down and got me. And then they started saying, you called this guy a creep and stuff. And then the principal said, like, don't ever talk to an adult here again, or you'll be expelled. Or something under those lines. I don't remember their exact words, but they threatened to expel me if I said that to any adult at the school again. And I was telling them, no, he really was being a creep, and I told him what happened. I was like, you followed me in the restroom. I told him I was using the restroom. I told him he was making me uncomfortable. He walked right up to the stall and was standing right outside where he could hear me and probably see me through the crack. He wasn't even looking away from the crack. He was looking at the stall, and you can see me through the crack. And I told him I was trying to use the restroom. Like, I think that's very creepy even today. Even though maybe he wasn't trying to be, I still think that's creepy. Even today, I still don't think that was justified. I just think that he didn't really do anything wrong and wasn't trying to do that. He probably didn't think about it enough. I don't know. But that was one of the biggest issues I had with staff while attending in person. That was actually big enough I remembered it. And even that's nonsense I tried to let go. But in October 2023, on October 7th, something that you guys probably already know about happened over in Palestine. And I was known at Woodside High School as the Muslim kid. About 2 or 3 days later, someone went to every men's restroom, free downstairs, free upstairs, every men's restroom, and in the stalls on both floors and all the hallways, all free halls, and the upstairs and downstairs of all free halls at Woodside High School, every men's restroom. They drew pentagrams, swastikas, the N-word with an ER. They described security guards based on their racial identity and used the N-word for them, and described them wearing sunglasses and stuff and what they looked like. But worst of all, they said that they were going to shoot up Woodside High School, and then they gave a date when they said they were going to do it. Then they said that Denby, another nearby high school, was next too, and then they wrote to spread the word on one of the messages. I know it said that and what it was for 2 reasons. One, the photos were posted online. They're still circulating. I have the photos in my gallery. People took photos and posted it before it got cleaned up by staff. And they wiped off the vandalism and sprayed it down and scrubbed it off. But 2, I found out before most other people found out about the threats. I remember like it was yesterday. I was in the kiln room at Woodside High School, there's the kiln, in the art room with my art teacher at the time. This was October 2023. I think October 9th or someday around then. And we were in art class, and I sat at a table with me and 2 or 3 other people. But they were all girls, and I was even more of a, what people would call fundamentalist in my beliefs back then. So because they weren't my relatives, I didn't look at them, and I didn't talk to them. I just was nice to them. I cooperated with them when necessary. I passed them supplies and gave them tips. But I didn't like gossip with them or try to like befriend them or get their numbers. I'm not that kind of dude. I'm a Muslim. I don't get in relationship with women unless I marry them. If I'm shaking hand or hugging women, if it's not my wife, it better be my mother or sister or something, or my aunt or my cousin, right? So anyways, I was just, this was how I would normally be every other day, because we would have A day and B day. Remember I told you we go to different classes throughout the day with different teachers? The ones you see depends on the day. The first class they call homeroom, and you always go to that. But then on A days, you'll go to like this list of teachers. Then on B day, your classes are this list of teachers. And they're always in the same order, but it's like on A day you see these ones. On B day you see these teachers. So every other day for all the school year up until this time in October, I'd gotten used to going to that art class and grown to love it. And then one day, towards the end of art class, which was my last class of the day, nearly the end of the day, some girls are talking at this table I sit at, and I'm listening to them but not joining in as they gossip. Like always, nothing unusual. They're talking about how, I believe it was C Hall it's in. They said, upstairs C Hall. During their class, a boy asked to use the restroom. He got up and left. When he came back, he said someone wrote what I had told you earlier, the threats were in one of the stalls. They saw one of the threats. He wrote them in a bunch of stalls. It turned out later I'd find out. So I thought, wow, that's absolutely crazy. I can't believe this. Just a second, y'all. Okay, sorry about that, y'all. So, I went up to go check and see for myself. I asked the art teacher to use the restroom. I was in downstairs C Hall. The setup is the art room's right there, and there's a restroom right next to the art room. And there's also a staircase by the art room. If you go up the staircase, at the top right next to the staircase is another restroom upstairs, above the bathroom downstairs, and they're all right by the staircase, and this is right by the art room where I'm at. So all I had to do is ask to use the restroom and go to the one upstairs, it takes just a bit longer, the amount of time it takes to go up a staircase and back down again. They wouldn't even suspect that I went to the other restroom. I went and looked, and sure enough, I seen it there. It looked like someone tried to start wiping it off, but failed and didn't get it off all the way, and it was still there, and I could see it clearly. Some kids came in, washing their hands and probably vaping or something they shouldn't be doing, and asked me what I was looking at. And I told them about what the girls said and how I came up to see for myself, and sure enough, it was there. I went downstairs, went back to class, didn't think nothing of it. Went on the bus ride home, not even half an hour later, and one of my buddies I always ride and sit next to on the ride home tells me about the threats, and he's like, everyone's talking about these threats, it's crazy, school's not getting canceled still though. And I'm like, man, that's crazy, man. So I go home. That night I go to bed. I wake up the next morning to police at my door. That's how I wake up. I wake up, and the first thing I always do is look out my window. I wake up and look out my window, the sky's blue. I'm like, astaghfirullah, I missed Fajr, and I'm mad about it. But then I realize my mom, my adopted mom, is shaking me, trying to wake me up. She's saying, Brennan, you gotta get up. And I'm like, oh, yay, today we're celebrating my birthday. Because my birthday is October 12th. She had worked that day though, so we were celebrating it a few days earlier. It's like, yay, my birthday party. But I gotta make a Fajr, astaghfirullah. That's all I'm thinking to myself, right? It's just like, someone's here to see you. So I'm thinking, oh, it's probably one of my adopted brothers. I won't name here, because I don't know if he wants to be mentioned in this video or not, who I hadn't seen in a long time. So I'm like, oh yeah, it's probably so-and-so coming to see me. What a surprise. I come down the stairs, and it's the cops. They were like, telling me that everybody on Instagram is sharing posts about how I threatened to shoot up Woodside High School. All the students at Woodside are sharing stories, and kids took screenshots of it and posted it to their own. They're reposting it over and over. Everyone's saying I did it. So the cops, of course, have to investigate this. That's their job, right? I answered everything I knew. I told them everything I knew. You can get mad at me and call me a snitch, but I didn't even know who did it. I didn't have no one to snitch on. I told them everything I knew, and that wouldn't be who did it. And they said they'd come back if they had any more questions. They thanked me and left. One of the officers was Officer Booth, who is a security officer at the school, who I knew and seen all the time, and he knew me really well. And he literally said, look, I know you didn't do it, but it's my job to investigate and keep everyone safe, and these are serious claims. That's the same kind of thing the FBI would say when people had called the FBI and submitted tips on me. But then they came and it turned out it wasn't true, and I didn't do nothing against the law, and they couldn't do nothing and left. They always say, like, we don't even think you did anything, but we gotta, do our job. So anyways, that's what happened. They said they'd come back if they had any more questions, and I never seen them again. And I found out later that within 24 to 48 hours, they caught the kid who did it. It was some white kid. He got sent to juvie. I kept asking the teachers who it would, and for some reason they said that because he's a minor, for some reason they're not allowed to tell me his name and that he did it, because they think there will be legal consequences or they can get fired. But here's the thing. The school told me that I wasn't allowed to go to Woodside High School anymore. I said, why? I didn't do it. You guys already know I didn't do it. You know who did it. And they didn't accuse me of doing it. They know I didn't do it, and they said I didn't do it. I asked them to make a public announcement, because literally all these students there are claiming I did it, and I go there, for my own safety so I don't get beat up or anything. They should make a public announcement saying the kid who did it got caught and won't be at Woodside anymore. So when I show up and people threaten me, I'll just let them know, and then they'll know it wasn't me. Because the school didn't want to name the kid who did it for whatever legal reasons they're not supposed to, and for whatever reason they refused to make an announcement just naming me and just saying Brennan White didn't do it. And to this very day I keep fighting for them to do their job and just, get their students under control and stop spreading rumors about me. But what happened though was, for nearly a year, again, I had to do Zoom classes and not attend a school in person anymore. And then I went back again in person, and By then, everyone knew I was innocent because my friends in the Karsherskian community had shared to their Instagram stories and spread the word about what actually happened, and everyone was seeing that and sharing that. They did a good job. So there were people who didn't even know I was accused of the threat, but then they heard about how I was innocent and didn't do it. And they wouldn't even see the posts saying that I did it, but they'd see the posts saying that I didn't do it, and that's how they would find out that people even claimed I did. That's how good my friends spread the news, clearing my name and spreading the truth for me, thankfully. But when I went to Woodside, there were a couple kids who weren't really active online, but still heard the rumors somehow through word of mouth, I'm guessing. They'd see me and they'd be like, "Aren't you that kid who threatened to shoot up the school?" I'd be like, "No, if I was, I wouldn't be standing here in this school. The kid who did that got expelled. People just spread rumors about me." Then I'd have to tell them everything I just told you about the situation. I had to keep repeating myself over and over to the few people who didn't know. That made me so tired of it. And so that's, to this very day, I got this rumor that keeps popping up. Most people at Woodside who heard it don't believe it no more. No, it's not true. But there's stuff spreading around on the internet and by word of mouth still to people in other states and around the world just because I'm active on social media and I'm like the third most popular person in the Karsherskin community making videos covering our community. I'm one of the first people who pops up. My content that I make or that my relatives are resharing my videos on their own accounts. So you see me very quickly when you check to Google our community. I put out a lot of information I learned. And so to this very day, I've never got justice for these things. But I did never get expelled, and I graduated from Woodside High School. But because I had to do Zoom classes, and it was only an hour or two a day, I struggled to keep up. I caught up after that had me behind, or I didn't do Zoom classes as soon as I got, not allowed to go in person. They told me I couldn't go anymore. Then after a little while, they said I could do Zoom classes, and I did that for months and months, and after a long time, they let me come back in person again. And that put me behind a bit where I was just able to keep up. I was never given the chance to join any extracurricular activities, and that happened to me, so I just barely graduated. I wasn't held back because of how hard I worked. I worked hard enough I didn't get held back and kept passing and kept up. But I believe I could have got further ahead and excelled, and I believe Woodside High School should have listened to me. From day one, when they told me I couldn't go, I kept telling them I wanted to go in person. They said, "For your own safety, we can't let you go because you're going to get beat up." And I was like, "Why are you punishing me? Y'all are saying I didn't do it." They're like, "Yeah, but for your safety, we can't let you go in person because you'll get beat up." And I was like, "Tell the kids who want to beat me up that it wasn't me. And if they keep making threats and saying stuff, punish them. Do your job. If you guys care about protecting me, you would make a public statement." Woodside High School issued a statement saying Brennan White did not make the threats. This is a rumor being spread. To this day, Woodside High School refuses to acknowledge this fact, which they don't deny. They just won't publicly make a statement. They won't clear up my name for me when they know I didn't do it. That's the injustice I'm facing. And it's causing me to struggle to find a job, because you can find posts on the internet claiming that I threatened to shoot up the school. You can't find a post from the school admitting the fact that's just myth. It's making it hard for me to find a job. I believe Woodside High School needs to make a public statement. It doesn't matter if it was a couple years ago, it's their job. That's what I believe. This is my fight. And I'm not going to stop talking about it, even if it's 50 years. I don't care, Woodside High School. I won't shut up until you give me this justice I'm seeking. Thank you, and as always, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.